Hey, I'm Aja A, and welcome to Sunshine Haze. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have listed down in the description box, and if you like the video, please give me a little thumbs up. If you have any questions after the video is over, feel free to drop them down below. I try to respond to everyone. And if you all know people interested in astrology, numerology, tarot, or whatever I'm talking about on this channel, go on and send them this link. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, thanks for tuning in and rocking with me. May this info help y'all live your best lives. Peace. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, SunshinehazeCo. I am Aja A. This is not the typical new moon or full moon video this time around. We are doing, this is part of the retrograde series. So this video is going to be about Jupiter. I wanted to get all of these retrograde videos up literally months ago, but the way life comes at you fast, and I've had these notes in here forever, but we're still in retrograde season. These retrogrades haven't ended just yet, and then you also have to think about the shadow period. So I still wanted to get the information up and out there for those of you guys that are interested in learning about what type of, and I consider retrograde season time to reflect and correct, what type of reflection or what type of corrections are coming in for you or that you need to be tapping into over the course of each particular retrograde, dealing with its planetary energies. As I said, this one is on Jupiter. So Jupiter retrograde started So y'all, I've had these notes since March because I remember writing them, and I remember being like, I'm gonna get these out on time, and I didn't. But here we are, you know, better late than never. Jupiter retrograde started on April 10th, and it's ending in a few weeks on August 11th. So it's a time span about 4 months. And this retrograde is actually very powerful for us, although with the outer planets, the social planets, I consider them, those energies aren't as intense as our personal planets like Mercury and Venus and like the I was gonna say the moon doesn't retrograde, y'all, like Mercury and Venus and Mars, but it does have a very grand effect over the energy in our lives. So Jupiter being in retrograde this time around is actually in retrograde in Sagittarius, which is its home sign. Sagittarius governs the planet, or Sagittarius, y'all, it's also Mercury retrograde. I can't talk. Jupiter is governed by Sagittarius. There it is. There you have it. So with Jupiter being at home in the sign of Sag, this is a very major energy coming up for us. Very major shifts coming in for us over the past few months, going into August, preparing us for when Jupiter turns direct in August. As I told y'all the dates, it started in 24 degrees and it's going to end in 14 degrees, so we're moving over 10 degrees. And I said that it's in its home sign, Sagittarius. Let's talk about Sag. So for those of you guys that aren't really hip to what type of energy Sag works with, Sag is the archer. It's the bow and arrow, dude shooting a little arrow. Sag is associated with the energy of philosophy. It's associated with the energy of truth and knowledge, and also the energy of adventure. Sag is also a very spiritual sign. And then Jupiter, this planet, is one of the outer planets considered a social planet. Jupiter governs expansion and growth, personal growth. Jupiter also governs opportunities and knowledge, learning. So this being retrograde, excuse me. This being retrograde season, and this retrograde being in the sign of Sagittarius, in Jupiter, this being a Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius, we're dealing with a few major energies here, and the reflecting and correcting going on for us with Jupiter is in regards to our journeys. So first, I want to talk about how Jupiter, as I said earlier, deals with expansion and with growth. What we're going to be looking at and kind of reflecting and correcting on over what we've been looking at and reflecting and correcting on over the past few months, and what we're looking at really getting down to the nitty-gritty now, because we're in the last couple weeks of the retrograde. We'll still be dealing with the energy during the shadow period, but we're really even though it's a retrograde, we're kind of wrapping it up during this time, okay? So as I was saying earlier, dealing with expansion and growth and talking about how Jupiter really governs and how this retrograde period is really dealing with our journey, we're going to be looking at how we've been making moves. How have we been coming along? What are our goals? And where are we in reference to those goals? Are we here? Are we halfway through? Are we just starting? Have we made it almost to the end and then we had a little few setbacks, and did we have to start trucking again? Like, where are we exactly? What is the path, the journey to our end goals, our destination? What is that looking like for us currently right now? And if it's not looking like how we want it to look, what needs to be done to get us back on track? So that's major Jupiter energy. And I can give you guys an example here. I moved back to Colorado. I was living in DC for about 4 or 5 years. I moved back to Colorado, dealing with finances, and over the past year I haven't been as disciplined as I should be or could have been. And so these past few months I've really been in this headspace of, okay girl, you have these goals, you know what you want life to look like and what you want it to feel like, which is also big eclipse energy with the Capricorn and Cancer axis. I've got videos on that too. Go on and check those out. What do you want life to look like, and what are you doing to get yourself to these points? And for me, this retrograde energy has got me to the point of, okay, what have you not been doing that is keeping you from getting to these points? So that's an example of what Jupiter retrograde energy coming in is going to look like. It's okay, hey, where am I on my journey, and how am I stopping myself? How is the world stopping me from getting to my final destination? And what type of moves do I need to be making to actually continue along this path to get me to that point? All right. Excuse me. Sag, I also said, is a very spiritual sign associated with philosophy and truth. So for us, this retrograde period is also a time of, I want to call it light enlightenment, just like a little bit of enlightenment. Although it may be shifting for us on a major scale, the way that it comes across us may not be very like, oh, this is you now. It may be like you taking baby steps, seeing like, okay, what's your spiritual process looking like? What are you starting to realize? So the past few months and these next couple of weeks with this Jupiter retrograde energy really has been bringing in this energy of, okay, what is my energy? What do I feel like? How am I vibrating? What level am I on? And what level do I feel like I need to be at? What is meant for me to know? What is meant for me to learn? What do I need to be seeing? What do I need to be growing into? How do I need to be progressing? So the retro, again, reflect and correct. So these are all questions that are really going to be popping up for you, or that have been popping up for you over the past few months, and now getting into a space of, okay, now that you're finding the answers to these questions, dealing with that retrospective energy, all that reflection, getting to the point, especially for when Jupiter goes direct, to say, okay, I've figured it all out. Now I'm actually going to progress. I'm actually going to start making moves now. Also, with Sag being adventurous and Jupiter being our personal growth and expansion, and Jupiter is also a planet of, it's a lucky planet, it's a planet of abundance. We're looking at, especially for those of us that have been in these spaces of, okay, I'm not living the life that I want to be living, excuse me, but I know what that looks like. I know what that's supposed to feel like. For a lot of us, we're going to be in these spaces of really restoring faith in ourselves and in our process. Sag is adventurous. Sag likes to try new things. Sag, if one thing doesn't work, Sag is like, okay, whatever, cool, zoom, I'm over there, we're trying this now. Even if something is working, if there's a possibility that something could bring in, you know, positive energy, or something could be exciting, or something could bring in this sense of fulfillment, Sag is there, right? Sag is going to go try it. Sag is going to go see what it's looking like, and they're actually going to do it. They're fired, right? So this particular retrograde, especially with this planet being in its home sign, we are really, really, really looking at, okay, where have we fallen by the wayside? What has that made us feel like? And how do we pull ourselves up out of the trenches in order for us to actually tap into that Sag energy with this Jupiter retrograde? So when Jupiter goes direct, we're actually making those moves to get us back to those spaces, or get us to those spaces if we haven't visited them yet. It's almost like we're coming into this new sense of self. And for those of us that it's not necessarily this new you, new me, it's like you're kind of rejuvenating the light side of you. You're rejuvenating the positive side of you. You're rejuvenating the good things. Again, Jupiter brings in abundance, and it's a planet of luck. So this planet has very positive energy. So this is not, I know a lot of people have these negative notions attached to the word retrograde. And yes, Mercury retrograde is wild. Venus retrograde is wild. Mars retrograde is wild. Those are personal planets. Those really touch our lives in a very personal way. Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto and Neptune, those are all, they do have a major influence over us. However, they are considered, you know, social planets. They're our outer planets, so they kind of govern our lives on a wider scale, so we don't feel as intense when these things hit us. So for us, it's kind of like, you know, it may not seem as evident, but we are moving into these new spaces and ascending into these new energies, all right? Okay, what else do I want to talk about as far as the retrograde goes? On a wider scale, I like to talk about what it looks like in society on a wider scale, with Sagittarius being the sign of philosophy and of truth. And it's a very, like I said, a very spiritual sign, and it's a sign of adventure, and it carries a positive energy. And Jupiter being the sign of expansion and growth and luck and abundance, and it's a very joyous energy that should be coming in here. So we're going to be looking at a shift in humanity. A lot more energy going towards what's humane and what's not. For example, all this dumbass shit happening in the States with Trump and, you know, ICE and the ICE raids that just recently occurred. The backlash and the response to that shit has not been positive, right? Unless you're a Republican. And I'm sorry for those of y'all that watch my video. Actually, I'm not. If you're a Republican and you watch my videos, guess what? I don't rock with your views, and your president is trash. Anyways, but as you see, I was reading an article the other day, and I don't know where it was, but it was like a barricade of neighbors stopped ICE agents from raiding a house. And it's like, that is Jupiter in Sagittarius retrograde energy coming in, shifting towards what's more humane. It is not cool to raid people's houses, to carry them out and drag them out and punish them simply because they came into this world. One, we're born in a different physical location and came into this world in a different culture. You know, that's not humane. And so the response from the neighbors and the response from most of us as a collective have been like, that's bullshit, that's not cool, that's not good, that's trash. So that is an example of Jupiter retrograde and Sagittarius energy on a wide scale. We are going to be looking at how should people be treated, how can we bring in more joy, how can we get to a point to where things are more harmonious and there's a more positive energy surrounding us, okay? Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the numerology of this retrograde. It started in 24 degrees. 2 is a number associated with peace. I was just talking about that. Balance and harmony, and 4 is associated with manifestation and solidifying new foundations and stability and growth. So this breaks down into 6, which is considered the perfect number. It's divisible by all the prime numbers. Well, not all the, anyways. And it's balanced. There's more that goes into that. I'm actually gonna do a numerology series too, so eventually whenever that happens, it'll be here on the channel. So this retrograde is really bringing in, or has really brought in, this energy of realigning with what is best for us, what is going to be the most abundant for us, what's going to bring us the most success, what's going to bring us the most happiness, the most joy, the most peace, what's going to bring us the most knowledge, right? And it started on an 8-day, which, if you know anything about the number 8, that's all about cycles. It's karma, it's infinity, it is success, and it is abundance. So the degree that this I was going to call it illumination. It is not. The degree that this retrograde started in and the day that it started in is really pointing to shifts in our foundations and very like cosmic spiritual shifts. And again, this is an outer planet, so this affects us on a more subconscious level in order for us to make moves in the physical, right? We're really reflecting and correcting on our cycles and on our experiences and how we can learn from those things and how we can use what we're learning to grow and move forward again towards our end goals in this aspect of success. The retrograde is ending in 14 degrees, which one is associated with new chapters. new beginnings. It's associated with manifestation and independence as well, and again for stability, manifestation again. And this breaks down into 5, which is all about change and transformation. And with this being in the 5th degree, breaking it down, being Jupiter and it being growth and expansion in the physical, for us, it's like there is going to be a shift. I wouldn't be surprised if for a lot of you guys around the time when Jupiter goes direct, things really start to pick up. All of these things that you've been thinking about, all of these things that you've been trying to make changes for, whether you've been a little stagnant, whether you felt a little blocked or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if all of these things start to kind of come full circle and actually start to move forward in a positive way for you, okay? This is very much so also a time for us to really, really think about where we are in our personal path and where we are in our spiritual journey. So again, I was talking about enlightenment earlier and talking about having like this sense of awakening and really getting into who we are and what's best for us. Again, when Jupiter goes direct, you may feel an energetic shift within yourself. And for those of you guys that are really into this spiritual life, the spiritual gangsters, you feel energy moving through you. You feel when your energy shifts. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are starting to feel. There was right before my birthday, and it's so funny, I was texting one of my best friends, or actually I was leaving her memos, and I'm like, for like a couple weeks, like my feet were just tingling, and it would just be random, and it wouldn't be because I would be on my feet, it wouldn't be because I had did something, like my feet would just start to tingle. And I'm like, girl, I don't know what's going to tell me. What does this mean spiritually? Like, what's up with my feet? And you know, when you dive a little bit deeper into it, changes within my root, changes within the energy of my root chakra. So, and that we could talk about that in another video. But like, some of you may physically feel energy shifting coming up when Jupiter starts to go direct. I would not be surprised, and for a lot of you, I wouldn't be surprised if you feel it in that area, because Jupiter covers our growth, and our growth starts with the root. Okay, anyways, wrong page. So yeah, this retrograde is all about reflecting and correcting on our journey and our spiritual process and what it's looking like now and what it needs to look like, how we can get ourselves back into alignment with what is best for us and what's going to bring us into this most prosperous and this most abundant energy, okay? On the shadow side, this can be, you might have dealt with a little bit of restrictive energy, may have felt a little bit of a disconnect with the self, and then also may have felt a little lost, like I'm not really sure what I need to be working on to get me to that point. You may have, like Sag, may have an idea of where you're trying to go, but just like Sag, you're not really thinking about the journey. You're just more so focused on getting there. So that is a little bit of the shadow coming in with this retrograde. So for some of you guys, there may have been this energy, or you may still be dealing with this energy of, okay, I know what I want, but I don't know how to get there. Trust and believe, once we get direct with this planet, that clutter, that confusion is going to start to clear out. We'll still be in the shadow period in August, so I would say around September, you'll really start to see shifts coming in for you in the physical, okay? All right, so for people with natal Jupiter retrograde, kind of talking about like how it is on the shadow side, people with that natal retrograde placement sometimes may have a little bit of a hard time actually solidifying their plans. May always kind of walk around with this sense or this energy of feeling restricted from your goals. I actually have natal Jupiter retrograde. Actually, do I? I know my Saturn. I believe my Jupiter is in retrograde. My Jupiter is in Virgo. I know that for sure. But I believe I have natal Jupiter retrograde myself. So deal with kind of feeling restricted, sometimes feeling like the world is just taking you down and beating you down, and feeling like you always have to work a little bit harder to get to where you're going. And for those of us that don't have that placement, that may be an energy that we're dealing with during this retrograde season. So you may be feeling like you can't reach your goals, or you don't have the resources to make it to your goals, or you just don't have the energy or the motivation. But trust and believe, once we go direct, especially once we're out the shadow period, you're going to start to see these things change for you, okay? That is it, you guys. That's all I wanted to tell you about Jupiter retrograde. I'm sorry this video is so late, but we still got a couple of weeks left. And I am also doing a sale on retrograde readings and eclipse readings. So you can get a retrograde reading on any planet that is currently in retrograde, including Jupiter. You can check all of that out. I've got it linked down below in my description box, my Etsy shop. You can also send me an email. Yeah, other than that, you guys, thank you for watching. See you next time. Peace.